One of the things that struck me when I was looking into the collections of material that we got is the magazine that was produced within the hospital, by the hospital, for people involved in the hospital. So there's lots of contributions in there by patients. Some of the artwork clearly smuggles in some very critical ideas about the war. So there's some very, not so much outright pacifist, but there's clearly anguished images of their war experience, which betrays some of their kind of personal stresses and strains, which in a way they can't really express verbally, because effectively what the purpose of the magazine was to have a cheerful place for people to be able to have a voice which in a way brought people together. But the pictures tell a different story from the kind of official agenda of the magazine. The cartoons are even more telling. Several of the cartoons explicitly convey the experience they have of going under surgery. So what they see is that they will be going into a theatre to undergo an operation, and they picture the doctors as having not medical instruments, but a kind of like carpenter's toolkit of saws and drills, and as though they were machines that were broken that needed to be fixed. And that's a kind of difficult thing for them to share. A lot of the other cartoons also express dissatisfaction with the people who come to visit them. So they're kind of like do-gooders who want to come in and give them a comforting support, but in a way they do the opposite, because they can't understand what the soldiers have been going through and what they're still going through, but worst of all, what they're still going to have to go through when they're recovered. Because another of the cartoons shows you the medical boards. The medical board was a way of reassessing people as they go into recovery. So, periodically, as you're an enlistment, so you're still in the army, you're not being discharged, you're being looked after by the military hospital and they're caring for you, but they're caring for you in order to make you a fit soldier again so that you can go back out and fight. And this again is a stress and a horror which is really difficult to kind of convey the difficulty of trying to cope with being in that situation, because you're not in the war zone anymore, but you're not on the home front either. You're kind of in a place that's in the middle, in between. The purpose of the medical board was to decide, well, do you go into rehabilitation? Do you go into discharge because you're unfit to be a soldier anymore? Or do you actually go back into training so that you will be prepared for return to combat? And they feel in a way completely at the mercy of this process, as though they haven't got any choices here. Their future, their destiny, their fate is in the hands of these people whose agenda is to win a war by using people to kill their enemy. And they can't get out of that. But their experience of it is that they go through the hell of being terribly injured. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But that's some of the conflicts that you get. I think also you got some kind of like national conflicts as well. So the Australians felt that the British administrations weren't making sure they got in touch with their families and things like that. I think they felt there was tensions, and some of that tension is part of the wider story of the war, where you have the differences between how people feel about Gallipoli and what happened to the Australians and the New Zealanders in that area of conflict. Mm-hmm. So you get elements of that spilling over into evidence in the records here.